So like the title of the video says, what if Yuta went to the Tokyo No2 colony, faced Charles and Hajime instead of Hakari? Similar to the video I did with Hakari in the Sedan colony. If you haven't checked it out, check that out over here. I'll be breaking down what would happen with Yuta going to Tokyo No2 colony. So without further ado, obviously like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll start with the video. So we'll begin with the same conflict, and we see here that Hakari and Charles had met. They begin with their dialogue about manga and before, and they begin their conflict. So similarly, if this was Yuta, the same conversation would happen and would begin our conflict with his disgusting otaku. The fight begins, and in my opinion, the similar in the way with how easily Hakari dealt with Charles. I don't believe, even with the ability that Charles has to see the future, that Yuta will have any problem against him. Hakari obviously used his domain expansion and hit the jackpot and ended that with the final blow to what we saw against Charles. In this case, I don't think Yuta will even have to summon Rika nor use any of his domain expansion, which we haven't even seen yet, to deal with Charles. I believe he has more than enough curse techniques, and as well as with his ability of Mimic Cry, he can use his curse speech and Shikigami to deal with Charles. No matter the fact that he has higher speed feats than Hakari, he is stronger than Hakari, and he has better endurance than Hakari. So in my opinion, there is no indication without Rika do I think that Yuta cannot defeat Charles. So in my opinion, it will end in the same conclusion, and because of that, something important will happen, because he would have now learned the ability from Charles to see the future with his manga panels. So we'll move on to obviously the next panel. So at the back end of we see the conclusion of the panda fight, I believe Yuta has a far different personality of obviously Hakari, and would not probably joke around and say something as, "Have you lost some weight, panda?" So at the back end of where you see the panel where Sukuna, I believe we will see Yuta jump out. And because Yuta has a far different personality than that of Hakari, I believe he would be far more enraged and more likely to take the job seriously, begin the conflict with Hajime earlier. So in the fight against Hakari and Hajime, we see that Hakari has hit his jackpot. He has begun conflict with Hajime, and Hajime's hand-to-hand combat is very good. I think in terms of hand-to-hand combat, they would give a good bout against Yuta. So they would have that exchange where they're exchanging blows similar to that with the Hakari and Hajime fight. They would be exchanging blows, and Yuta would get closer and find out how strong Hajime is as a fighter. Hajime would have accumulated the charges as we seen similar in the Hakari fight, and would have unleashed an electrical attack that would damage Yuta and would potentially leave one of his arms in big danger, not leaving him with a severe wound. He would then replenish this with reverse curse technique, and Hajime will realize he has a reverse curse technique and will begin to take the battle even more seriously. However, just before getting hit by his attack, he would use the ability gained from Charles to plant him with the manga panel on his chest, which will end up aiding him in the future battle. At this moment of time, he will realize he will have to use the full manifestation of Rika, and would have brought out Rika. So Hajime would have realized and seen that the full manifestation of this cursed spirit, and realized this is a dangerous individual. They may use an ability similar to that of the one we saw against Panda, or something more dangerous with the fact with the staff ability that we saw they use against Hakari. However, they are against an individual such as Yuta, and now that we know that Yuta has not only reverse curse technique, let's say if the worst case scenario that he took off an arm from a lightning strike, I do believe Yuta would be able to recover it in time. Moreover, now with the abilities he has with the Shikigami, could be used as a distraction against Hajime to then use the said ability with Charles to see in the future. This could prevent some of the most dangerous attacks with the one-shot abilities that Hajime has had with the lightning strike that we saw he used to Hakari's head, as well as the ability with the staff and the one-shot ability we saw to Panda. This, in my opinion, would mean that Yuta would not, even without a potential domain extension with the full manifestation of Rika, could get the job done. With the ability now that they have with the curse speech, which I don't believe Hajime will have too many ways to deal with as a curse user, as well as their feats in terms of attack power, tremendous curse energy with the full manifestation of Rika, and in those 5 minutes I believe Yuta would destroy Hajime in the fight. Now I don't mean destroy as in he'll be completely overpowered. I believe it'll be a close fight in aspect. This is not me to underrate Hajime or anything, it's just with the whole abilities that Yuta has. No reason why Hajime can overpower him. Even if you use the abilities of the lightning strike, he has so many ways he can deal with him, and the abundance of cursed abilities, and now with the ability of mimic cry. Could it be even a similar situation that he could mimic the same curse technique of the lightning strike back at Hajime? And that will speak more volumes with the fact that there is no indication of Hajime ending up this fight with victory. I believe in how we're in the end panel where currently Hakari and Hajime, and in my opinion, Hajime has used his maximum technique in what we can see in the end panel versus Hakari. I believe even if he was to use his maximum technique against Yuta, he would find a way to survive, and that was evident from his fight against Ryu. He tanked 2 granite blasts easily, one where he deflected with his hand, another which he obviously sustained and kind of shrugged off. I don't think this is obviously equivalent to the ability and curse technique that Hajime uses with electricity. However, to kind of use as a scale, I believe Yuta's durability is extremely underrated, and he'll be able to deal with the unfortunate biggest technique and use of the domain expansion, which could potentially counteract this eventually. I think without even the use of the domain expansion, which we have in views from Yuta, I believe Yuta just has too many abilities to deal with a fighter such as Hajime and would come out at the end with a victory. But what do you guys think, and do you disagree or agree with me? If you disagree with me, let me know, and if you agree with me, let me know down below. If you'd like to see more style videos like this, obviously like, comment, share, subscribe for more JJK content.